Hello, I'm Becky.
And I'm Mickey.
And these are Inglorious reviews, and we are reviewing this week the mid-season finales of The Flash and the Arrow.
Yep.
Alright, let's start with The Flash.
Well, we have a lot of stuff for The Flash.
Yeah!
Very exciting. We see...
More questions than answers.
I think we have some answers.
Have you?
We have the Reverse Flash.
Yeah.
If you didn't know who the Yellow Man...
Spoiler!
The man in the yellow suit is...
Harrison Wells.
That's Reverse Flash. Well,
Yes.
that's a bit different.
Okay. So, Harrison Wells is at least a Flash.
Yes,
okay.
he is a Flash.
Okay, we found out. Okay, so the man in yellow suit comes in this week, and he tries to get a tachyon particle, whatever, from Mercury Labs.
Yes.
And we find out, we find out that, I don't know, we find out that time travel is not on the table this week, and so the man in yellow suit comes out, and the team finds out about him. And Joe finally tells Barry about him, stealing all the evidence and threatening Iris.
We see it a lot because if we know the Reverse Flash has many incarnations in the comics. We have the first Reverse Flash, who is Edward Thane, or Eobard Thane, from the 25th century. We have Professor Zoom, who is basically Edward Thane. And we have Zoom. We have Zoom himself, who is the second reincarnation of the Flash, who is Hunter Zolomon. He comes after Professor Zoom. Don't mix the two up. Then you have another Reverse Flash called Rival, but that's miscellaneous right now. And there are many other speedsters in the Speed Force universe for the Flash. We see this week that there is time travel, and there is speculation who it is. Whether the Reverse Flash that we see is Edward Thane coming back in time, or Thawne, or is it Hunter Zolomon? We don't know for sure.
Hunter Zolomon isn't on the table yet.
But he is Zoom, who is the second reincarnation of Reverse Flash.
Yeah, we'll see.
Who would be in Barry Allen's timeline, because Professor Zoom, who is Edward Thawne, is supposed to be in... He is the first Reverse Flash in Jay Garrick's universe, who is the first Flash. But they cross over all the time. So what we see is Harrison Wells, we know, is a Reverse Flash, regardless of which one they make him out to be. Because we see at the end of the episode, he has that suit, and he has the tachyon particle accelerator, whatever you want to call it. That's the piece of hardware that he's putting on the suit, is the tachyon. So he has it. And he also has the ring, which is is a kind of thing from the Wally Flash, or their first, where the suit pops out of the ring. But they didn't use that. So we see that Harrison Wells has a tachyon hardware, so he must have gotten it from the Reverse Flash if it's not himself. So he must be working with either a future version of himself, or he could be a Reverse Flash trying to prevent something, and is working with Edward Thane indirectly. Yeah,
well, maybe it is. Okay, because we find out, Cisco puts the pieces together and realizes that there were two speedsters, as he calls them, the night that Barry died. So maybe he's a speedster, and there's another speedster.
Yeah, and with that, if you read the comics, that Barry Allen at one time tries to go back in time to prevent Nora Allen from dying. But when he does that, he realizes that he's going to alter his own timeline, so he ends up not protecting her, and he allows her to die in the first place. So that may be the red blur that we see.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of answers, but we know that now that Harrison Wells has that power, we see that he's manipulating the situation, and he has super speed healing.
But I'm curious about who was in the coat. Okay, who was in the yellow suit beating him up.
That would be, I would assume it's Edward Thane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he looks at Edward and doesn't do anything to him. And so I was thinking, oh, well, maybe, it's, future Edward or something.
Yeah, he knows, I think we have a pretty good idea that it's him. And he's coming back into the past. Because the interesting thing is Edward Thane wants to destroy the Flash. But Hunter Zolomon, when he is Reverse Flash, tries to make the Flash a better superhero. He travels back and says to himself, I'm going to make the Flash the best character, the best superhero ever. So that's who Harrison Wells, I think, is. Because he's trying to improve the Flash.
But why?
But indirectly, Edward Thane comes in the picture, and he picks up the tachyon, puts it to the suit, combines the tachyon particles to the suit, infuses it with the ring, basically. So it is now connected, like, basically to the Speed Force.
Yeah.
There's a lot of science. So
I guess we'll probably get more answers about that. But
yes.
Now we know for sure that he is connected to all of that. Because at first, we weren't sure if he was, had some other plot going on, or if he was connected or not. So now we definitely know he is a part of the Man in the Yellow Suit saga.
It's a dangerous one.
Yeah. So that was very cool. And, oh my gosh, that line at the end where he was like, Merry Christmas, in that deep voice, that was creepy.
Merry Christmas,
by the way, Merry Christmas, everybody. Yes. Happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, and everything. This is our Christmas episode. I dressed up a little bit for it.
I didn't get the memo, so.
I had some elf ears that I was going to make him wear, but I couldn't find them.
Your loss.
Yeah, his gain. Yeah. So yeah, and this was this was the Christmas episode. The AV Club called it the Flash Christmas Special, which it kind of was.
Yeah.
There were a lot of really sweet moments in this, especially like the moments between Barry and Joe, were just he was like, "Oh, you brought light into our lives in our house when you started living with us." And he was just like, the world needs Flash, but I still need Barry Allen. I was like, wow. It was really sweet. I love, one of the best parts of the show, it really is like their relationship. I remember when I was first reading about it, I was wondering like, oh, is there going to be like a competition, but sort of between like, is Harrison going to try to be the father figure? And maybe there'd be a little bit of competition between the two, but who's going to be the prominent father figure? But that hasn't happened, and I'm glad. I mean, it's been a really great seeing that.
I don't think Wells
dynamic
would make a very good father figure.
No, but I wondered if he was going to try to get more influence on Barry and try to maybe edge Joe out of his life a little bit.
I think
to have more control over him.
Wells is smart enough that he's just going to be his mentor instead. But talking about relationships and feelings, we finally see that Barry expresses his feelings for
it was so
Iris a bit late,
inside, really sweet.
It's finally out there.
Yeah, right as she's about to start moving with Eddie, living in sin with Eddie.
Ooh, living in sin now.
Yeah, they're getting married. Okay, they're getting together, and Barry gracefully accepting it at the end, and being like, I'm just happy for you guys, and just letting it be. I think, it was good for the character. So maybe we can end this sort of pining for Iris plot line.
Yeah, maybe
which was getting a little stale.
Yeah.
Because it was just very much Lois Lane, Clark Kent kind of a thing that felt like a rehash of that for me.
Maybe Barry Allen will actually go after one of the multiple girls that who enjoys having his company.
Yeah, I still kind of wonder if maybe he won't try to get closer to Caitlin now, or wind up getting closer to Caitlin, because I still feel like those two, and the few one-on-one scenes they had together, they had good chemistry. So I'm kind of wondering now, because Ronnie's back. I mean, we'll get to that. I guess we'll get to that in a second.
In such a sense,
we'll get to that in a second. Is maybe they'll get closer as they're searching for Ronnie, and just as he's about to make a move, Ronnie will sort of join the fold, and so there'll be the love triangle between the three. I don't know. It was something I've always wanted to see.
Maybe, but we see Ronnie when he comes back, and Caitlin actually figures out who he is.
Yeah,
being Firestorm.
That was not quite how I was expecting her to find out. Him seeking her out.
Yeah, but then he doesn't want her around at all. I mean, even though he saves Barry at the end of that, little fight about with the Reverse Flash. He leaves, and he learns to fly pretty quickly.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. When I saw that, I was like, oh, my gosh, that is so cool. I was laughed out loud. That was the coolest thing ever when he flew, did the whole, fire hands thing and just, pushed off like a rocket into the sky. I was like, oh, my gosh, that is so cool. I've been waiting for a hero who could fly in one of these shows, or who had that kind of ability, or... a gadget or something. That's so cool.
think the other thing we noticed about Firestorm is that he doesn't seek out crime yet. He hasn't. He seems to be wants to be left alone.
I don't think he's entirely emotionally, mentally stable.
Well,
when I
not either.
first, when we saw him like the tag last week, I thought maybe he had amnesia. Like I was like, okay, so maybe the blast blew him sky high, and he woke up with these dangerous powers and no memory of who he was. And maybe that was true at first.
That's what it sounds like, though, because he doesn't even recognize his own name when they meet him in the tunnels.
Well, he was like, I'm not Ronnie Raymond.
Yeah, I'm Firestorm.
But then he goes and seeks her out and knows to go to Star Labs.
So there's something in his head that says, hey, I've got a link to her.
He does, but maybe he's just like so horrified by what happened to him, what he had a part in doing, and that gave him these incredibly dangerous powers. Like, he's not like Barry who can just run fast. He could, like, set things on fire. He could, really do some damage to Caitlin and to other people. So maybe he was isolating himself out of just, like, shame and horror at, like, his powers. Yeah.
He seems to have a really good control over it, though.
Yeah, he does.
Unlike some of the other...
Maybe he didn't at first, though. I mean,
probably. It's been some time since we've seen him.
He'd have to have, like, spend time learning how to control his powers to be able to lie with them.
Yeah, and so that's what I'm thinking. Is like, I mean, he's the same, type of guy like Torch. Same type of powers. He can fly with the fire. And I think that's, that eventually he's going to be learned just to, light his thumb on fire and be fine with it, so he doesn't, burn up the building or anything. So that was interesting to see him save Barry, though.
Yeah, that was cool that he did that. And, foreshadowing him joining the team.
He may, or he's just one of those metahumans that kind of just like hang out, and if you need help, you just call him.
Yeah.
So
maybe. So yeah, and I was thinking, oh man, but that scene where Caitlin was like, I would rather he died than turned out like that. I thought that was a little much. Like, I mean, he's homeless and, clearly a little, mentally unstable, but he wasn't, clearly, traumatized or whatever, but, he hasn't hurt anyone.
He hasn't gone on a rampage.
He didn't, go on a rampage and, blast fire at her or anything. He just showed off his powers and told them to stay away. He never hurt anyone.
I think the only people he's hurt, though, are those two hooligans.
They weren't just bothering him, they were gonna mug him.
Yeah, so those are self-defense with fire.
Yeah. So he, so that was exciting to see that I knew that he was going to come back eventually.
Yeah, somehow.
But I kind of wasn't expecting it to be this soon. But I guess it's the mid-season finale, so it's about time.
They got to bring in the characters that'll, have some importance in the next couple episodes.
Yeah, it was cool. That wig they have him in is really awful. Really.
Or he is a hobo right now.
Well, no. I mean, it's just a really awful wig. It looks super fake, and it's really bad looking.
Oh, well. Maybe get a haircut eventually when he figures out what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, goodness. So, and somehow his hair does not set on fire.
Well, yeah. Same thing with the torch, Your bodily, functions, your skin just don't light on fire. It's just magic like that.
Yeah.
Nothing, if you're a firestorm with a torch, and you light yourself on fire, but every time you light yourself on fire, you have, burning hair smell, I don't think you're going to be very nice. Mm-hmm. People are going to be like, what is that stink? And then, you're done as a superhero. Yeah. Or a villain, even. They'll laugh at you.
Yeah. Speaking of Caitlin, that little scene with her and Iris, I liked that. I mentioned last week that I feel like these shows are really lacking female friendships, but that little interaction with Iris and Caitlin was nice. It'd be nice to see those two develop some sort of friendship.
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked I liked little nerd humor on this show. Like, just the small stuff here and there. Like, when she was on the phone to Cisco talking about, the present she got for Dr. Wells, and she was like, it was either that or the Stephen Hawking autobiography, and we both know how he feels about Hawking.
Yeah, that was quite nice.
Yeah, just a little asides here and there. That's always really nice in the show. Okay, Eddie. They're definitely setting up to be a villain.
We'll see.
They really are. Well, he's suddenly so into the Flash, and so, this and that, and suddenly so against Barry, and suddenly so, wanting to move his relationship forward with Iris.
And that's why I think he is Edward. He is Edward Thane. He's got the same name. It can't be a coincidence. Edward Thane from the 20th century has a vendetta against the Flash, or Edward Thane or Eddie now has a vendetta against the Flash, even though he knows that there are 2 speedsters now, or multiple. He knows about the metahumans now. Is he still going to pursue that task force, trying to collect them, or kill the Flash, or capture the Flash? Who knows what he wants to do. But his task force wasn't too
the thing
efficient
is,
either.
He knows that there are 2 different people now. The Reverse Flash said, I am not the Flash. And they saw him, the guy in the yellow suit was different than the guy in the red suit. And Eddie's seen the guy in the red suit. So he knows there are 2 different guys. Mm-hmm. And he knows that the Flash is trying to save his life. So maybe he'll cool on the Flash and try going after other metahumans. Maybe he'll try to go find Ronnie. Maybe he'll go up against trying to find Ronnie.
Or he may convert his Flash task force into a metahuman task force.
Yeah. Of course, right now, Joe said that they need to keep it a secret.
That and Reverse Flash told Joe, stop chasing me. So I think, Reverse Flash is very much, Barry Allen, it's just you and me. We're going to have a race for the next couple weeks. Mm-hmm. I'm going to see if you can kill me.
Very interesting. I was really shocked that it was Harrison Wells. I really was, because he's
one of them.
Well, he made this big deal about trying to convince Joe that it didn't exist. In the same episode, showed up and revealed himself to Joe, and that seemed counterproductive to what Harrison was trying to do. So I figured, it isn't Harrison after all. And
he's involved. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But the fact that he got that tachyon thing really means he's working together with the other Reverse Flash.
Yeah.
Which is quite interesting now that if you go to comicbook.com, you'll see that somebody took footage and revealed that even more evidence for Harrison Wells being a Reverse Flash is that he's healing, or at least somebody who's connected to the Speed Force. He heals a lot quicker. And same with, there's speculation that Eddie is too connected to the Speed Force because he didn't bleed out with the Clock King when he shot him. But Eddie won't know about that until probably till he's dead. He has no idea what any of this is.
Yeah. Yeah, so all in all, it was a good episode. Iris and Barry are, finally on ice for a long time. Mm-hmm. But now she knows, and she can make, a decision about that. I was kind of expecting that maybe this would be the episode where she finds out. Because Barry tells her she loves her. She doesn't want to talk to the Flash anymore. Then Barry tells her he loves her. Then she finds out that Barry is, but now she has all these conflicted feelings. Like, do I turn him over to my boyfriend? Because now that I know he loves me, and then, he's Barry, and that would be, a big conflict for her, in the last 9 of the season. Yeah. In the back 9. I guess back 13. Or something.
Something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes I hear, the last, post-mid-season finale episodes called the back 9. But sometimes that's not true. Okay, anyways.
Side note there.
Glee thing. So that was pretty much the whole episode. Ronnie and Christmas stuff, the Flash putting up Christmas lights super fast. That's nice.
And taking them down really fast.
I wish I had a Flash around to help me put up Christmas stuff around the house. That'd be nice. Garland takes forever to hang up. So that was a really good episode. I really enjoyed it. I was so confused at the end of it finding out about the end of it last night, when we found out Harris, because that just didn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, if you don't read the comic books or at least read the DC Wiki page, you are very confused how everything worked out.
Yeah. So. It was very interesting. Very good episode. I enjoyed it. A nice little end.
Nice and very entertaining, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and I guess we should move on to Arrow.
Yeah. So we have a bit of a different kind of a theme to that. It
was a fun series, everyone. And hope you enjoyed it. Goodbye. This is our last Arrow review.
If you saw the ending, he's dead.
Yeah.
Until you see those footsteps. But
dun dun dun. Or
is he not? ...
The end. Question
mark. The end of Oliver Queen as the Green Arrow, and now it's Roy.
Yeah, now Roy. Oh, maybe that's what they're gonna. Now they're gonna find something to do with Roy.
I kind of hope not. Or
I think he had 3 lines in the entire episode. Oh, come on. Yeah, I think he had 3 lines in the entire episode. It was so
even when they like go to that one guy and said, "Hey, did Merlin come by and you fly him or something?" Roy just kind of sitting there like, "Yeah, just sitting here. I'm extra intimidation, not doing too much." I'm really hoping, talking about that we seemingly see the Arrow Oliver out of commission, basically. At least until he survives or is found by somebody, as we see. I'm hoping Ray Palmer as the Atom, and we see the exosuit that he's making, becomes like a temporary hero for the city. Yeah. I really want to see that.
And Roy will continue up in the background.
And the Roy just hangs out. It's like, well, look, hey, burglar, I'm going to go get him.
Oh, goodness.
Villains? No.
Yeah, well, maybe now he'll step up and become Red Arrow. And
he'll have to.
When Oliver's gone, he'll step up and then he'll have something to do.
That may be their whole thing, because we've been wondering how they're going to bring him back in, and this would be opportune to do that.
It would be. I'm still wondering if they won't kill off Roy to send Thea down a dark path, or maybe Malcolm will kill Roy, and that will send Thea off to Oliver's side and take Roy's old place on the team.
So she becomes Red Arrow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Speedy.
Well, Speedy is, Roy, basically. Or the name has nothing to do with his actual
Arsenal Speed. Or whatever else. Yeah. I don't know.
There's a number of routes they could go with this one.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
But
poor Colton Haynes.
Hopefully Oliver's not back in, Starling City the next episode. Mm-hmm. I really don't want him to show back up that quickly.
Yeah, it'll take at least an episode.
For him to be out.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the big news tonight. We found out who Sarah's killer was. It really was Thea.
It was Thea. Yeah, and I think we suspected that, but we didn't have enough motive for it.
And we weren't sure how she could have gotten a Quarter Maltese, which everyone was saying, well, how could she get from Starling to Quarter Maltese?
Merlin's private airplane.
Yeah, she didn't. She was he drugged her. He was drugging her.
Yep, manipulation.
This whole time, we all thought he just wants a Tommy to take over from. No, the whole reason that Merlin came back for Thea was because he had this whole plan to use her to get the League of Assassins off his back and onto Oliver's. Oh my gosh, that is how writers play a long game. That is a long game they have going. And Arrow is really good at that. I mean, really good at that, except for Roy.
Roy's the exception to that good writing.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us saw that they'd use, a common plant or drug to manipulate a character throughout the movie. Really, not the movie. The TV show, because it showed up earlier. Yeah. When Oliver had his own little torture session with somebody who was on the same stuff.
Yeah, okay. Here's what I don't get. If he this is one thing that the plot really got me. Why didn't he just tell, Malcolm Merlin is, known. Why didn't he just hand over Malcolm, like John said, hand over Malcolm to the League and be like, he drugged my sister into doing this?
Because...
and he knows there's a guy on the League who has experience with that and who can vouch for the effects of that drug and what they can do. And then he can just, focus his efforts on... And if they come after his sister, he can just focus his efforts on protecting his sister. I mean,
You don't think Al-Ghul would be rash and be like, when they brought Merlin in, he shows him video and says, hey, I didn't do it. The gal who was with me did it.
Yeah, and then Oliver can testify to what he told him, and then there's this other guy here who can note. And, I just don't think, with, the reputation Malcolm has with the League, that they wouldn't believe that he was capable of that. I mean, Sarah has no motive to... Thea has no motive to want to kill Sarah at all. And, everyone around, including Nisa, would know that.
I think Al-Ghul would most likely be like, oh, I see you manipulated somebody. Not unlike you to do that before. I'm just going to kill you and Thea and Oliver. Get you guys all out of the way. Mm.
Yeah, but I don't think that he would just kill Oliver for no reason.
No, probably not.
Because I think, he respects Oliver a lot for the things that he's done. And I don't think he would just want to kill Thea. Mm. And I feel for the makeshift or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it was a lot of mental gymnastics for Oliver to decide that he didn't want to tell the truth to the League.
He doesn't want his own sister to be put to death, basically.
Yeah, but I just feel like that wouldn't have necessarily been what happened if they'd have told them the truth. If Malcolm had been handed back over to them, Yeah, I think Ra's al Ghul would have just been glad to have Merlin in his hands again, and would have just left it alone.
Yeah, I don't know how it would work. Like,
Yeah.
but Merlin wouldn't come nicely to the sacred area either, though. Like, to that area that he met him in.
Yeah.
I don't think he would have came nicely, so it probably would have been a failed endeavor there. Because he had to bring the person.
Yeah, but Oliver could have easily just, tracked him down and taken him out. Like in the League of Shadows when, it was Malcolm, come with me and we'll hunt him down and you can have him. And they would have found him. It was just so much, so much mental gymnastics, really.
That was unneeded, in your opinion?
Yeah, well, just, I don't know, to just be like, oh, well, we can't do that. It was a whole lot of jumping around to force that confrontation to happen. As cool as a battle as it was, and, as cool as a plot idea, it was a lot of, gymnastics to get there that were, I don't know, just didn't seem really logical to me.
Oh, you referred to that battle. I don't think it was very much of a battle. It was very one-sided.
Yeah.
And Oliver, he has all those he has the choice of weapons. If you saw the episode, and it's
arrows.
all swords, but he has no skill level.
Yeah.
For what we know in swords,
he can fight really well. He's good with he knows guns from his time in Hong Kong, and he knows arrows and whatever, but yeah, no swords.
Swords not his thing. And then when he fights Ra's al Ghul, as laughable as it is, he misses every time.
Yeah.
Except for that one time. Mm-hmm. But then Ra's al Ghul...
There were times when, Ra's al Ghul had his hands behind his back.
Yeah, and he was kind of just
showing off.
Moving back and forth. It's like, you can't beat me even if you wanted to. And he stabs him, twice.
Yeah.
And there's, I was waiting for him to, swing the sword back and cut off his head. All dramatic and And then, Oliver would grab his wrist and, stab him in the gut or something. But instead he just stabs him and kicks him over the cliff.
Yeah.
Which was kind of annoying.
Mm-hmm. And
because that leads to something else.
Well, the thing is, they're not going to kill off the lead character of the show.
True.
So it was a fake, cliffhanger because he's not going to die. They're not going to end Arrow in the middle of season 3, by killing off the character. So it was kind of it was a surprise, but it's not really a threat,
No, because now Ra's al Ghul thinks he's dead until he finds out later.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just going to do this because I have to do this.
Okay, go to it.
Why did they hire a white guy to play Ra's al Ghul? Oh my gosh. He was Australian. He was speaking with an Australian accent during his scenes. He wasn't even hiding it. He was when they were talking, and he revealed himself. I was just really wanting someone to say, oh my god, why are you white? And oh my gosh. And it was the first time I ever killed a man, I felt pride. I was Australian pride. Oh my gosh, it's the worst thing ever. This show should know better. These shows have been actually kind of good about having diverse characters and good about writing, strong women, and I'm really proud that, that my favorite shows are like that, and it's really nice watching a show like that, but why the heck did they hire a white guy to play an Asian character? A white guy, an Australian guy named Ra's al Ghul. Oh my gosh, it was completely ridiculous.
Because they don't think anybody else is going to get as worked up as you do over the ethnicity of a person who no one actually knows.
Irresponsible. No, Ra's al Ghul, that is a Middle Eastern name.
It is Middle Eastern.
That is an Asian name. They should have an Asian guy playing an Asian character. It is irresponsible, and I'm calling you racist, CW. I'm calling you racist.
I don't think they did it on purpose.
Or not. Yes, they freaking did. There are plenty of...
So you're telling me they had a bunch of Asian or Middle Eastern characters lined up? They're like, you know what? We like the Australian guy.
No, they didn't. They didn't even audition an Asian person, I'm sure, because they don't like to put Asian, minorities in these big characters because they don't think minorities are as marketable. It's a serious problem in Hollywood. There's a whole movement about it. Go to racebending.com or racebending.tumblr.com and check it out. It's this whole movement where they talk against this because this happens all the time. Remember the Avatar: The Last Airbender movie? The Avatar: The Last Airbenders cartoon was this amazing,
the cartoon
beautiful,
was good.
Cartoon about this kind of Asian-based fantasy land and all these different little countries that are fighting each other. They're based off different Asian countries, and it was really good. And then when they made the movie, every single character of the Asian characters were played by white people, except for the bad guy. But the bad guy was Indian, and the bad guys in the cartoon were based off Japan. And so they had the Asian, but still the wrong kind. They only had one Asian, and it was the wrong kind of Asian. And it's like a whole problem in Hollywood, and it really pissed me off that they had, and I mentioned this to someone today, and they're like, oh, well, they had Liam Neeson played in Batman Begins, and they were wrong, too. They were wrong in Batman Begins. They were wrong here. It's really bad because, TV, maybe there isn't quite as much writing as, a giant blockbuster movie, and you could try to do more. I was really, impressed that they decided to have Iris and Joe West be African-American and that diversity and stuff, and I thought it was really good. And them having this big-name character, this canonically Asian character with a very Asian name, and then this whole, oh my gosh, this white Australian guy hanging out in Nanda Parbo or whatever they call it, leading this league of mostly Asian people, running, trying to run the world in shadow or whatever, and it was completely ridiculous. It was just completely ridiculous. It's laughable.
Your
oh my gosh.
reaction to Ra's al Ghul not being a Middle Eastern or an Asian person is the same reaction I had. This is a little off topic. That I had to the Mandarin in Iron Man 2. The same type of response, because they made it an Australian guy who wasn't Asian, who didn't have the power rings.
They fixed it. They fixed it. Do you remember what his explanation was? Oh, I'm really an Englishman, and they gave me plastic surgery.
He still wasn't the Mandarin or an Asian,
and that's how they got away with it. They screwed up the backstory to make it okay that they hired a white guy.
That annoyed me as much as it annoys you that Ra's al Ghul is not Middle Eastern, because they did the same thing. They brought a character or an actor at least, who's decently well known, and they made him somebody who's truly not. He can fit the part, but there could have been somebody better.
It was Ben Kingsley, who's also playing the Pharaoh in the new Exodus movie. Again, white people playing characters of color.
And there's a white woman playing what's his name's wife.
And Christian Bale playing...
In the Christian Bale Moses movie.
Playing Moses.
That's a bit...
Christian freaking Bale, the brunette Caucasian Batman guy, is gonna play Moses, an Israelite, a Jewish Egyptian person. From wife, 2,000 years ago.
His wife is white character-wise, but...
They all gave them tans, that makes it okay.
If you know anything about the Bible stories or whatever, you'll see that Moses' wife is actually Ethiopian, which is African, so they should have done that. So,
are you serious?
Yes, I'm serious. I just read this.
I don't even remember that. Oh my gosh.
She's Ethiopian actually.
Oh.
So they make a white person, Moses' wife, who's supposed to be an African American person, and they couldn't have her African American play the woman, which could have been easily in Hollywood.
Yeah, Lupita Nyong'o.
Yeah.
Anyways, yes.
We're going to go really off topic on this one because there's a lot of examples.
There's an institutional problem, and it pisses me off. This is an iconic character from from Asia, and they made him white. Australian. They have not even maybe I don't know, Liam Neeson. He was a British guy or whatever who'd been traveling in Asia or whatever else. But no, this Australian guy, white guy, playing this character, and it pisses me off. And I'm so disappointed in Arrow for making that decision. It was completely ridiculous. Yeah. So tweet at the Arrow team that they're racist. Do that. No, but oh my gosh, that really did ruin a lot of it for me. Seeing that, because it was just so ridiculous. Kneel before the demon's head. Don't you mean Tasmanian devil or kangaroo head?
That works nicely. Tasmanian devil. I like that much better.
Yeah, and Nisa's half white, I guess. Her mother is Asian, and that
solves all the problems. How do you become Ra's al Ghul? Do you fight the former Ra's al Ghul?
Oh my gosh.
That's how it happened. That's how it happened.
Oh, that's a whole other problem. The white guy came in, and he was better than the actual Ra's al Ghul, so he became the new Ra's al Ghul because he was so much better with his whiteness.
I'm not going to say it's whiteness.
Another...
It was called skill and expertise.
Of course.
That he beat the Asian Ra's al Ghul.
Well, that's another dumbass...
Don't say she's white because he beat him. That is racist in itself.
That's another... that's another dumbass trope. The white guy comes into this foreign, exotic group or whatever, and he's mathematically better than them, so better than everyone else at it, who've been studying for years and been involved with this for years, and he becomes their leader.
Well, that happens a lot, The Asian culture will like, hey, look, it's a god. He's white, and we're dark. And then
what are you talking about?
When the colonists came in, a lot of those countries... It was very much, hey, look, this is a god. And in the beginning, at least, until they started massacring people. But, I mean, could he have came in, and as a kid, under the ruling of the Asian Ra's al Ghul, for that matter, as a little white kid who was born a slave, and
what are you talking about?
Well, I'm just trying to say, make a theory.
Born a slave where? In
the Middle East. In the Middle East, because it happened.
Wait, where? What are you talking?
The slave trade in the Middle East and all across the world.
A white Australian guy?
What if the white Australian guy?
How did a white Australian guy become a slave in the Middle East?
Not so much an Australian guy, but a white guy.
But he was
a kid when he got...
This guy's Australian. He has an Australian accent.
That's beside the point. I'm just making the case for a white Ra's al Ghul and how he came to be Ra's al Ghul.
In 1970 or whatever?
Yeah. He's old, And Ra's al Ghul uses the Lazarus pits. So he's eternally younger than he actually is.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So...
He did talk about being old.
It could solve the problem. It will
not solve the problem.
As outlandish as it is.
It will not solve the problem. The problem is they should have hired an Asian person.
Temporarily it would solve the problem.
Ugh. I disagree. Ugh. All right, well... We should get on with the rest of the episode.
What else do we got to touch on?
Well, Thea
ends up,
yeah. She admits to Oliver that she was hanging out with Malcolm, and I can't wait for the explosion when she finds out what he made her do.
Or when she finds that the Oliver is actually the arrow. If she finds that out.
I freaking loved the part where she's like, "Please don't hurt me," and then she jumps up and starts kicking him, and then jumps from the balcony.
And he's got that pretty awesome. He's got that non-belief face on him. He's like, oh, crap. She was up to something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
We finally got to see her skills, which was nice. Yeah, I liked that.
I did too. It'll be cool. I really wish we could see her in more fights. We probably will soon.
I think we will, because now that, he's gone, at least temporarily, she may do something... But I'm thinking Roy is going to step it up. She may step it up depending on how things go. I think we're getting closer to seeing Black Canary up here. I don't think it'll be in the next couple episodes, but it's getting there. I mean, with the whole talk with her mother, make them pay.
Okay. That mother is one of the most annoying characters ever. When she came in first season 3, first off, I mean, I know they brought her in because she was the original Wonder Woman or Black Canary from the 60s. No, something like that.
Some link to the comics.
Yeah,
or the old movies.
Yeah, but she is a really bad actress. She really is. Does anyone remember that first season episode where she came in and they were talking about Sarah's death and she talked about her guilt and she was like, "I killed my own daughter." And she got this ridiculous, blubbery look on her face, and I was like, "Oh my goodness!" That's back when I hated season one, and that was one of the reasons because they had such a bad actress.
They brought her back
such bad acting. But and when she came in and she was she comes back. The character is just really ridiculous. I know Mother's intuition that Sarah's dead, and then her just ridiculous things like that. And then her encouraging Laurel is like, you kill them, you make them suffer.
And so, yeah.
Don't encourage your daughter's mental instabilities. Emotional
That's
instabilities.
how she's become Black Canary.
Ugh.
Going after the criminals.
Yeah. And it annoyed me. Like...
then she'll have to fight Thea.
Ooh.
Unintentionally.
Ooh. Yeah. Ooh. Seeing those two
There's a fight scene
rip
for
into
us.
each other. They were kind of friendly in season 1, so that would be weird. So, I mean, cool to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So... Yeah. So Laurel's still around. That was our annual check-in with Laurel. Roy, just like our annual 3-line check-in with Roy.
Yep.
Yeah, but anyways, yeah, Thea. Yeah, that will be very interesting to find out, like, this whole time, all Malcolm was doing was using her to get it. And he knew, like, exactly what to say to get to Oliver. He had this whole thing planned down to a T.
Yeah, he was one step ahead of him.
Yeah, well, really, just the whole reason he did all that was to get rid of the League of Shadows.
Yep, use one other person to do it. Keep your enemies closer than your friends.
Yeah, so maybe now, with Oliver gone, he's really going to use Thea to take over the city. Now that Oliver's gone, maybe that was...
take over the city.
Or do something. Maybe just getting rid of Oliver was like phase 1, and now he's really going to get intense with Thea.
So do you think he's going to make a move on the city?
Yeah, I don't know. Or some sort of power grab. Now that Arrow was his big... He had to stay, down low and not do much because, Oliver would knock him back down into place if he tried anything. But with Oliver gone, that was his biggest obstacle. So, that should be very interesting. Except now, the League of Shadows knows he's alive and they don't have to bother with Oliver, leaving him alone. So maybe the League of Shadows will come after him now.
Maybe. Or if Merlin tries to take action. I mean, all the obstacles are not gone, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you contend Roy as somebody who's going to stop him. Maybe not.
I'm recalling a tranquilizer dart and saying no.
Or get knocked down, after one hit.
I'll never get over that.
And see, this is where I know the directors say that the Atom's not going to show up too much, or at all. But I really want to see Ray Palmer don the Atom suit and protect the city for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Just as a small-time temporary superhero.
Maybe.
Before he's got to leave, or ends up.
I still feel like there might be a supervillain edge to him. There might
if somebody
be a bit
steals
of an
his
edge
suit, maybe. But, besides that, I don't see anything.
Well, we'll see. I'm still holding out that maybe he might turn out to be a bad guy. Who knows?
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah.
Let's see. We have, talking about Ray Palmer, we have that thing.
Oliver.
What about Oliver?
Told Felicity that she loved him.
And she has something
so
with
zen going off.
Mm-hmm. No, he had to be.
Just so zen about it. It was weird.
He was weird.
And I love you. And no, he didn't really kiss her. He kissed her on the forehead. He didn't kiss her. I was expecting him to do that. But
he expects himself to die. I don't think he was too confident in himself to beat Al-Ghul.
Yeah, so you think he'd want to kiss Felicity for, goodbye or whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, I think he knows that's done. But she's stuck in a two-way triangle because Ray Palmer is going after her again, even though she's not. I don't know. Doesn't look too too happy about that always. And then now she has Oliver saying something actually.
Yeah.
So,
well,
depending on what she chooses to do for that matter.
When she saw that suit, she's like, "Oh, how does this keep happening to me the third time?"
Yes, I was like, yeah, that's true.
Time.
You're involved in the Flash, the Arrow, and now the Atom for Ray Palmer. Are you gonna keep more secrets? Which I guess is her specialty now.
Yeah.
She knows all the superheroes.
She wanted to know what Ray was up to, and now she does.
Yep.
Yeah, careful what you wish for. Yeah.
She'll steal the suit. There's your villain.
Yeah. Yeah. So this should be interesting. Someone told me today that it's confirmed that Slade's coming back.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be an interesting one.
He's gonna get off the island or something.
I could see him being resourceful and doing that.
Yeah.
Comes back into town with Oliver gone. Ooh. That is a fun one to think about.
Yeah. This should be interesting. We have to wait over a month, I guess, because they're not coming back till January 20th.
Yeah. What are we going to do in the meantime?
I don't know. You're going to miss us. Admit it. The tens of people who are watching us.
You got a good number of them.
Like 400, about 400 views for like 10 videos combined.
We're slowly getting there.
Yeah. Well, thank you for everyone who's been
If
watching.
you've been
Not that
watching.
we're complaining. We really appreciate everyone who's stopped by and listened to what we had
Watched
to
all, anywhere from 20 to an hour.
say. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm hoping our
we
discussions are very important.
We
very
do
intuitive.
tend to go on and on.
Yeah, we've got nice rants,
Yeah.
about people who should be playing other characters.
Yeah.
And comic book characters.
And whitewashing.
And everything
characters.
in between, because we go off on tangents.
Yeah. It's a very important tangent, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I guess that's about it. We found out who Sarah's killer is.
Yep.
We checked in with Laurel. And we got to see Al-Ghul. That really was much of a battle. I half expected, like, when Oliver's life was flashing before his eyes,
to do something.
I really expected him to, like, jump up and, like, start pummeling the guy, but nope.
Well, that's what I was said. Grab his wrist, stab in the gut, but instead he just gets kicked off the side of the cliff.
Yep. Yeah, I remember, what's his name? Malcolm Merlin, when they were originally questioning him about, killing Sara, he was like, he hinted that Ra's al Ghul was homophobic and resented her relationship with Sara. Then he says in Sarah's relationship, and maybe that's why. So I really kind of expected to see more of that, or anything. I don't know. Yeah, it was interesting.
Everything?
Yeah. So, the flashbacks.
The flashbacks.
Yeah.
That climbing off the cliff the whole time through that episode, which is kind of confusing in the beginning.
Yeah, it was. It really was. It was cool, though.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the Chinese flashbacks, though.
The ones
the sword fight, that was so cool.
With
the two girls.
The China white lady?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was really cool. And Akio...
He switches allegiances.
No. What's his name? That was his son.
That was his kid.
I wonder if the son is going to show up at some point. I wonder if he would be anyone.
How old would he be then?
Well, he was like 10 or 11, maybe 12 in the flashbacks, which would make him, probably 17 now.
Yeah, teenager. So I don't think we're going to see him yet.
Maybe. He's old enough. I don't
remember the Asian guy's name.
Yeah, and the Asian guy.
What's his new name now? Shavo or whatever.
Something like that.
Something like that, and he shows up in the Ra's al Ghul circle, and I was like...
which means either both his wife and son probably died.
Yeah.
So we'll see what's going on there. Qian Na Wei, I guess she's going to show up at some point. She just kind of disappeared in season 1.
Yeah, she did. We didn't see her at all.
Yeah. So, she'll probably show up sometime in the last half of the season, and that'll be cool to see. She was she was a pretty cool character. So, yeah. Guess we have to wait
month for Arrow. Yeah.
For more answers.
Do we have to wait a month for Flash too?
I don't know.
I hope not.
I didn't see when that was coming back.
Ooh.
But that should be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well. Thank you everyone for watching our videos these last few months. It's been a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed sharing my views with all of you. I wish some of you would share some of your views with us.
Yeah, we haven't got any comments yet.
Comment, I keep on, even if you're like, oh, you guys suck, you don't know anything about comic books, at least I know what people are thinking about this.
If I'm wrong, if I tend to be wrong, hopefully not, just correct me, please.
Yeah. And if you think I'm a reverse racist or something, just keep your comments to yourself about that, because you don't
start a huge rant thing on YouTube and then they cancel us because we started some crazy racist stuff.
Oh, you were surprised at how much crazy racist stuff you could find in videos, and they never get
we just don't have
canceled.
If you don't get that big, we'll be fine.
Yeah. So really, just comment, subscribe, ask if you have suggestions for things we could talk about in the hiatus.
Or if we missed something, we'll go back and talk about it.
Answer questions or whatever if there's any topics you want to talk about, even about these shows or others. I'm going to do a little mini-series talking about Teen Wolf coming up soon, so keep your eye out for that if you're a Teen Wolf fan. Well, that's about it. Yeah. Well, thank you, everyone. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy holidays, to be politically correct. Yeah. Well, enjoy your time with your families. Enjoy the holidays, and we will see you
whenever the shows pop back up, we'll be back.
We will see you in January.
Hopefully, both of us. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. All right. Well, goodbye.
See you.